Alright. Now, since I've switched over to water-based paints, I clean out my airbrushes with a solution from a company called Croftgate. It's the multi-clean. It's a degreaser. It's biodegradable, and you can use it in restaurants and all that type of stuff. Now, I know that atomizing this stuff isn't great. When you spray it with a regular gun, you know, the trigger assembly like what these bottles come with, it's not really atomizing it the same as if you were spraying it out of a airbrush. So we do have another product out that is called Restore. Now this is a soaking style parts cleaner, and it works really good. But you have to make sure that no way can this ever touch any rubber parts. Any rubber parts, it'll swell up that rubber so quick that you will be saddened by not being able to use your airbrush for a little while. Now Restore, as you can tell, I'm down that much of it now. I use it a lot. What I love to use the Restore with was putting it inside my ultrasonic cleaner and throwing all my spray guns in it. Now I was able to take urethanes, poly primers, base coats, clear coats, all of that stuff comes right off. Comes right off sitting inside the ultrasonic cleaner overnight, or just even a couple hours. So, I don't know what Dusty's talking about, but he says, tip for you, don't put your Restore in your sonic bath. Well, my sonic cleaner is all stainless steel, so I don't know how it would kill your sonic cleaner. But if he's talking about putting it inside his bathtub with Sonic the Hedgehog, then he might have problems. I don't know. So yeah, I just throw it inside the ultrasonic cleaner, and I'm good to go. Yeah, one thing would be is make sure that it is not plastic. Any plastic parts will become rubber. I'm sure that might be what Dusty's talking about. Okay, I don't use a plastic tub with it. I just dip it in the stainless and let it go. So what's cool about it is it cleans stainless steel. I don't want to know, Kaiser. It works. I don't know what in it kills, but I know that it says non-toxic. But if you spray it, no, there's no acetones in it. If you spray it, it will take away your breath in 3 seconds. The stuff is not to be atomized. Do not atomize it. Any precautions for the skin? I don't know. I've got it on my skins. I use acetone and lacquer thinner on my skin, so. As he left. Kaiser asked any precautions for the skin. Now, for the skin, I would say you'd have to use some type of thick rubber gloves, because I bet you it would just destroy nitrile or latex. I don't know, I don't use it. I wash my hands right afterwards. Warning, will dissolve soft plastics, not for use as a general cleaner, will soften templates, stencils, plastic tools, plastic cases, and some table surfaces. Caution, contact with eyes, flush with large amounts of water immediately up to 15 minutes. Skin contact, wash thoroughly with soap and water. Get medical attention if symptoms remain. If swallowed, do not induce vomiting. Give at least 2 shots of water. Get medical attention. Yeah, you know, you never know. I like doing tests. Let's do a test. Here's a nitro glove. Doesn't hurt all plastics because it's in a plastic bottle. One thing I noticed though, it feels like oily. I don't know what it is. Let's throw a rubber lid in there. Let's see what happens. I'm soaking my fingers in it just to see. Yeah, I use lacquer thinners to clean out stubborn paint off the airbrush, which is something you wouldn't want to do around a kid. I would have to say that the nitro glove so far is holding up good enough to probably clean the airbrushes. To at least pull the parts out of the cleaner. It's swelling up a little bit. As you can see, it's starting to balloon. But it's not too bad so far. I mean, to take the parts out of the cleaner, now, this paint that's been on here has been on here for a while. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's E-Tack or if it's what. But I'll give you a little look-see into the cup. And you can see all the stuff floating around already. Now this is a thing I just cleaned with lacquer thinner. So this stuff actually works better than lacquer thinner. Take that, a little brush. Alright, so we'll let that lid soak in there for a little bit. I don't want to do too long because it's rubber. It's a plastic rubber based lid. So I wouldn't leave it in there too long. You can see that the gloves are actually starting to expand pretty good now. So the pinky I didn't put inside the cleaner at all, so you can see what it's doing to the well, the lacquer thinner also evaporates pretty quick. This stuff doesn't evaporate almost at all. It does have a slight evaporation, but not bad at all. Alright, so while we have that soaking, here's another lid that has a whole bunch of stuff on it. So those lids from Badger kind of have those lips on it that get stuck with all the paint. Okay, here's one that I didn't clean yet. I'll clean it a little bit just so we don't contaminate too much of the surface. I would clean it out. I wouldn't take a chance of putting it on your surface because I wouldn't trust it to allow the paint to dry. Because its main job is to clean, is to dissolve paint. Alright. Now the stuff also goes a long way. I mean, I put a lot in it to be able to soak. But now here's the thing with airbrushes. Some airbrushes are designed differently than others. So since we're on a cleaning mission, let's see what it takes to clean. We'll go with the Patriot. Start out with the Patriot. Now, I just shot some paint, so I got my red paint in it, orange. So this is the way that I clean an airbrush. I take a little bit of my multi-cleaner. Some people use Windex. Some people use soapy water. Now what I'll do is I'll take the paper towel and I'll just put it in front of the airbrush and I'll bubble it up into the cup. Now, if you're using a micron or something with a real fine needle and it sticks out, then you might not want to do this. So what you can do is you can take the regulator, back it off, and then when you pull back on the trigger, it's going to bubble up in the cup. So now you can put a little bit in there, and you can see it's bubbling up in the cup. So yeah, Restore is the it's a 4000 series 4000. It's on AutoAir's page. It's made by Createx. It's all the same stuff. So I back up the paint, let it bubble up in the cup. Throw some paper towel in there. Wipe it out. Now for the most part that's good enough for color changes. If you're switching colors and just want to switch over to another color, spray it through. Now if you don't want to breathe it, put it into the airbrush and just kind of spray it into the paper towel. Put the airbrush right into it. And then it's not atomizing it and getting it all over the place. So, alright, on Blog TV, do I have sound? Just checking. Got sound. Okay, cool, thanks. Alright, so now the airbrush has been cleaned out good enough for a color change, but in no way is it clean. So now what we're going to do is we're going to clean it a little bit. So what we do is, I like taking off the head first. Now the needle came out with that, so that's fine. Now you got your needle exposed. Pull off the backing. Pull the needle out, and you can see how unclean it really is. You can see what we pulled off there. So now we set the needle aside. Pull our head assembly apart with the nozzle. Now if we want to, we can just sit there and clean it with a Q-tip, some brushes, and you're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the restorer. Now if you look at this handle, there's a rubber O-ring right here that if I would have thrown that in the restorer, that would have swelled up real big. So check for all the little rubber O-rings and stuff like that. Make sure that there's only brass and chrome going in there. Okay, now I'm going to pull the stuff out of the restorer, the lids. So like I said, I don't want them to swell up. That one's still pretty harsh, so. Alright, so now I'm going to clean it up. Get a little restore on my fingers. It's not going to kill me, to my knowledge. Let me know if it did. Okay. Now here's an important part to make sure it's clean on every single lid. I like taking a little tiny brush. Some people will take an old needle and just run it through, clean it off, and pull it back through, and make sure that that top hole is cleaned out. Because without that top hole cleaned out, it's not going to spray. Alright, so we're just cleaning the lids right now. Now I would say it's probably pretty important to make sure that every little paint's off, because it's going to soak up the restorer. And if any of it gets near your other paint, I wouldn't trust it not to affect it. So when you go ahead and you clean something with Restorer, make sure that you get it fully clean. And then afterwards, I'm going to soak all these parts in water and a degreaser. So that's clean. That's clean. Now we've got these other parts soaking. We'll just leave them soaking. Now the needle never really needs to be soaked. There's no reason to soak a needle. What you can do is something that you cleaned off with Restore. Maybe even get a little Restore on a rag. And then just wipe it. Okay, now something I noticed about the Patriot needle, it's not real smooth. Doesn't feel real nice and polished, so let's fix that. Let's tear apart the rest of the airbrush. We're working on the Patriot. So now the trigger can come out, throw it in there. The needle stop. I'm going to pull out the spring assembly. We'll throw that in there. The backing, the needle plate. Okay, now we can't throw this inside there. Now the reason why we can't throw that in there is because there is Alright, so there's an air valve in here. Now what's nice about this Patriot, I hate using tools on it, but sometimes you have to when they get tight. If you had a miniature strap wrench, that would even be better. The whole entire air assembly, O-ring and all, comes out with this. So there's no reason to soak this ever. So you pull that out, and now there's nothing else to swell up in here. The packing on this airbrush is done with a